All right, we're going to do another example for finding inverses. And let's say I had f of x is equal to x squared minus 10. I already know that the inverse function is not going to be a function. And the reason for that is because I know this is a parabola and I know it does not pass my horizontal line test. But we'll get to that in a second. We can actually find the inverse. We make f of x is equal to y. Again, this is just for ease of manipulation of the variables. Now I invert by exchanging x and y. I'm going to get x is equal to y squared minus 10. I'm going to solve for y, so I'm going to add 10 to both sides. Oops, there we go. I'm going to get y squared is equal to x plus 10. And then I'm going to take square root of both sides. And I'm going to get y is equal to plus or minus square root of x plus 10. Now here is where it's not a function. If I put, let's say I put in a value of 15 here, then I'd have 15 plus 10. That's going to be equal to the square root of 25. That's going to be 5. That would be plus or minus 5. So by definition of a function for one input, I should only have one possible output. I put 15 in here, and I'm going to get plus or minus 5. That's giving me two answers. So it's not going to be a function. Okay? So what we can do now is we can restrict our domain. And usually what we do is we choose the positive value. And we say, okay, we're only going to graph half of this. And then we're just going to use that part for our function. And so that just means, okay, my domain here is I know that x plus 10 has to be greater than or equal to 0. So x is going to be greater than or equal to 0. So I have, minus 10. There we go. So now, so I know that my domain goes from negative 10 to, this is infinity, not a very good one. So I restrict my domain for minus 10 to infinity. This restriction will go back to my original one and say, okay, this works for any real number value. But if I restrict my domain from minus 10 to infinity, then I also know its inverse under this restriction will also be a function. And this is the effect of restricting our domains. What we get here is that normally this parabola, I'd have it minus 10. It would look something like this here. And basically what we're doing here is we're stopping it at minus 10 and we're saying, okay, this is where we're going to ignore this part of our function. And then our parabola that we have here is going to look something, if I reflect it, it's going to be something like this. Okay, well actually it won't look like that. It'll stop right here on the x-axis, because we know that we can't have any negative values underneath the square root, and that's going to be at minus 10. I know this wasn't the best drawing here, but understanding about restricting your domain, all you have to do is set the restriction for your inverted function, and that's how you restrict your original function to make sure that the inverse can actually happen.